All right, so let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore an ancient Indian philosophy that has this surprisingly modern, almost rebellious message. It's called Charvaka, and trust me, it challenges some of the deepest ideas we have about life, our purpose, and, what it even means to be human.
So this is one of the most famous lines connected to Charvaka. I mean, talk about a statement that just grabs you, right? Forget saving for a rainy day, forget worrying about a future life. The focus here is radical, it's immediate, and it is completely unapologetic about focusing on right now. But is it really that simple? Let's dig in.
To really wrap our heads around Charvaka, we got to travel back in time, way back, to around 500 BCE. So picture ancient India, a society that is just steeped in spirituality, in complex rituals, and this powerful idea of an afterlife. And then, smack in the middle of all that, this philosophy shows up, and it's a total countercultural force. It questions, well, pretty much everything.
The names of the philosophy pretty much tell the whole story. Charvaka literally means sweet words. Ideas that are attractive, that sound good to us. And its other name, Lokayata, means worldly philosophy. So it's not about some far-off heaven or complicated theology. It's about the life we're actually living, right here on the ground.
So tradition says it was founded by a sage named Brihaspati. But here's the wild part. His original texts, they're all lost. The main reason we even know about Charvaka is because its opponents wrote so much against it. They would quote Charvaka ideas just so they could tear them down. But in doing that, they accidentally preserved them for all of us. Kinda ironic, right?
So, what was the central rule? What was the one big idea that made this philosophy so radical? Well, it all boils down to one powerful concept about what we can actually know.
Okay, this is it. This is the absolute heart of the whole thing. For Charvaka thinkers, if you couldn't see it, hear it, touch it, if you couldn't perceive it directly with your senses, it wasn't real knowledge. It was just belief or speculation or something someone told you. And this radical commitment to what's real, to direct experience, led them to some seriously bold conclusions.
So, if you follow that rule strictly, what happens? Well, first off, the idea of a heaven that no one's ever seen? Nope, gone.
And a concept of a fiery hell for punishment, which, again, no one has ever directly experienced and reported back on, also gone.
And what about the belief in a soul that lives on after the body dies? For the Charvakas, that was nothing but pure speculation. This life is all there is, period.
And then there's this one. This was probably the most controversial rejection of them all. No karma. They argued that life isn't governed by some grand cosmic moral law. Sometimes good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. Life, they said, is just kind of random, largely coincidental.
Now look, when you hear all of that, no God, no afterlife, no karma, it's pretty easy to jump to one conclusion, isn't it? If this is all there is, well, why not just go wild and indulge in every single pleasure you can find?
And yeah, that leads them to this very famous conclusion. If this life is the only reality we can actually be sure of, then the whole point is to experience it. Live fully, live joyfully. Don't suppress your desires for some reward you might get in another life.
So, we have to ask the same question its critics have been asking for centuries. Is this whole philosophy just a sophisticated excuse for hedonism? Is it just telling us to live without any sense of deeper purpose at all? Well, the answer is a lot more complex and way more profound than you might think.
Because this is where we get to a much deeper interpretation. What if this intense focus on material experience wasn't the end of the journey at all? What if it was the necessary beginning?
This question really gets to the heart of it. A lot of spiritual traditions tell us to detach from worldly love, to avoid getting tangled up. But the Charvaka perspective kind of forces us to ask, how can you ever really understand a massive concept like compassion if you've never experienced the messy, beautiful, sometimes painful reality of love for yourself?
This explains the central metaphor perfectly. So think of reality as a giant ocean. This material world, with all our desires, our relationships, our pleasure, and our pain, that's the shallow end. The Charvaka idea suggests you can't just skip the shallows. You have to get in the water. You have to feel it, experience it, learn how to swim there before you could ever hope to venture out into the deep ocean of true spiritual understanding.
So, when you look at it from this angle, Charvaka isn't about rejecting spirituality. Not at all. It's about building an honest-to-goodness foundation for it.
The logic here is it's so powerful.
A real search for meaning, a true seeking, doesn't come from suppressing who we are as humans. It comes from experiencing it. The key insight is this: it's the person who has dived headfirst into life, who has loved and desired and enjoyed and still feels like something is missing. That is the person who begins a truly genuine search for a deeper truth.
In that kind of search, it's just fundamentally different. It's not motivated by fear of hell or a desire for heaven. It's not based on some dogma that you were taught when you were a kid. It is a genuine seeking, and it's motivated by the clarity that only comes from direct, lived experience.
So here's the big takeaway, the idea that kind of flips everything on its head. What looks like the most materialistic, live for today philosophy might actually be the most essential starting point. It clears the slate of all the secondhand beliefs and forces you to build your own understanding of life on what is real and true for you. And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought. We're so often taught that a life of deep worldly engagement and a spiritual life are opposites, that they're in conflict. But Charvaka invites us to ask, what if they're not? What if a life fully and honestly lived isn't the enemy of spirituality at all, but its only true beginning?